Fallout Equestria Survivor's Guild, Chapter 4, Part 2. We took out the guards easily enough as we moved into the hangar. I'm not quite sure what any of us really expected, but I don't think we expected what we did find in there. Inside was a small fleet of airships of a design I had never ever seen before. Each of them had the symbol of the Enclave on them. We checked the nearest one, and it was so empty that they hadn't even made a move yet. They must be saving it for a full attack or something like that.
Okay, that's not good,
I said with a gulp.
Any suggestions on what we should do? Hey, I think I've got something,
Joy, the pink-colored earth pony, said. She found a terminal made of cloud material nearby. I trotted over and looked at it carefully for a moment. It was encrypted, of course, but I was able to break through it pretty easily, and the options came up on the screen. Lock hangar doors, maintenance logs, orders from Bluejay. I glanced around a moment, and the others were checking out the ships. I hit the first option, which caused the doors to the hangar to close and lock. That would at least help. I cycled through the logs, but not much was interesting there, so I checked the orders. 2. All ponies in the Grand Pegasus Enclave. From General Bluejay. Subject, orders. In the wake of Mr. Ryder's death of the hooves of Rainrunner, the sectors of the cities will need to be taken fully under Enclave control. The so-called independent Pegasus movement among the three families may have served our purposes well during the infiltration, but they will have to be dealt with. Guards will be kept on their quarters in the Double Diamond and Crystal Palace casinos 24/7. In addition, guards have been placed on the 4 shield nodes around New Pegasus in order to keep control over them in the event of an attack by the New Canterlot Republic, or their allies. I doubt that they will find a way in, but in any event, I want to make sure that they don't get the chance. We have completed our first part of the Enclave's grand design, and our leader will ensure that we all go down in history for this. This is the first step in reclaiming the wasteland from the savages and mutants below, and we will hold it for as long as we draw breath. Glory to the Enclave.
Laying it on a bit thick, aren't they?
Arclight commented as she looked over my shoulder to read the screen.
Sounds like we need to take out those shield nodes. Okay then, alright, so we split up into 4 teams. Scootaloo, you and Arclight, you two take out the ones on the east and south side of the city.
Rain said as she examined a map of the city and the wall and passed out the rest of the instructions, which included her and Crystal going to free the heads of the 3 families.
Okay, so we'll meet up again at the Lucky Horseshoe. That should get us access to our objectives.
We all nodded in agreement and headed out to the base and up into New Pegasus properly. And, well, basically into Tartarus. The city was covered by a dome of magical energy that was shuddering from the impact of the attacks coming from the assault by the Typhon and its assault craft. The Enclave were moving into positions in case the shield was breached, but they didn't seem that worried. It was time to give them a reason to be worried, we hoped at least. I checked my EFS's compass, and we weren't too far away from the south node. Near Stable 21, yeah, kinda figured that. I nodded to Rain and the others as we split up and went to our respective targets. Me and Arclight moved quietly through the shadows towards the south node and hoped that we wouldn't get spotted before we got to the destination. As we neared the node, however, our luck finally gave out. Halt! Who goes there?
Crap, that really figured.
We were spotted by the guards at the node. I looked at Arclight, who moved further into the shadows before I turned to see 2 Pegasi dressed in Enclave power armor, looking straight towards me.
Well, you see, I'm here from headquarters. I'm here to,
I said nervously as I pulled my hat over my face.
inspect the energy flow systems to the shields for the, generator in the Lucky Horseshoe?
Uh-huh. Right. We're just gonna have to make a call about this, one of them said, and went to go talk to their superiors over the radio. I was about to say something when there were 2 muffled gunshots as the guards slumped over. I turned to see Arclight looking at me with a smirk on her face.
You're really not good at bluffing, are you?
She asked with a shake of her head as she went over to the control panel.
Tell me about it, though at least I didn't have to wear silly glasses all the time,
I commented, rubbing the back of my head.
Wait, what? Long story, don't worry about it.
Arclight just looked at me strangely for a moment before getting back to work on the console with me guarding her. As I kept my eye out, my eyes fell on the massive Stable 21 sign, and I couldn't help but think about that. Stable 21 has been a pretty benign stable, having been constructed to build a society around games of chance, or at least, well, that was Lost Pegasus after all, but I wondered how the inhabitants fared. I hope every pony made it out okay.
Almost, oh, got it.
Arclight said, and we looked up to see the shield start to flicker, but it still held on.
Come on, let's get going.
I nodded, and we started moving again towards the east node. As we neared the place where the eastern node was marked on my EFS, we looked up when the shield shuddered again.
Looks like another node is down,
I said as Ark nodded. We moved forward for a moment before I saw a glint above us, and it took me a split second to realize what was about to happen, and I dove forward, pushing Ark into cover as a bullet was fired by a sniper and hit me in the wing.
Oh, goddess! Wait, you saved me!
Arclight said, surprised, as I started to bandage my wing.
Wait, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I've taken worse,
I said with a pained smile. It was a lie, of course, but I didn't want to worry her.
And, you're my friend, Arclight. I don't want anything to happen to you. You consider me as a friend?
Arclight asked, surprised, as she lined up her rifle towards where the sniper had shot from.
But I attacked you when we first met. Yeah, I kinda did deserve that, though,
I admitted, rubbing my jaw a little, and I went to help her scan the area.
For what it's worth, I'm really sorry. Maybe someday we can go back to Stable 66 and maybe settle down.
Ark paused for a moment at that, but didn't say anything as she lined up a shot and pulled the trigger on the assault rifle. I looked up towards where she had shot, just in time for the bullets to impact the head of a stallion, causing him to fall over dead.
Wow, a nice shot,
I commented.
Thanks,
Ark said with a nod.
Scootaloo, I'm really glad I met you, and honestly, I'd love that, but for now, I just want to find Caramel. Look, I'll promise I can do everything I can to make sure that you find her,
I said with a reassuring smile, as we started walking again.
Trust me, I know what it's like to lose a friend. Your best friend.
Ark nodded and actually gave a smile, and that made me feel a little better at least as we headed towards the eastern node. When we reached the building that housed the node, I was surprised to find it unguarded, at least by ponies wearing Enclave uniforms. 2 ponies dressed in what I can only describe as gangster gear were in front of the building and pointed their weapons at us when we approached.
Wait, what are you two doing here?
One of them demanded. The boss doesn't like ponies who might be working for the Enclave, you know, the other one said, making me gulp a little.
No, we don't work for the Enclave,
I said.
We're part of a team sent down to take down the shield so the Enclave can be stopped.
And why should I believe you? Why should we believe you? The second guard asked. I've never seen either of you around here. You could have worked for the Enclave. Most Pegasi in the cities do these days. I looked at Arclight for a moment, and there was really only one way I could prove that I wasn't them. But this wasn't exactly going to be easy, though. I reached up and removed my hat, looking at the 2 guards. There was a long pause as they took that in before a dark red-furred Pegasus mare stepped into the doorway and looked at me with wide eyes. She looked in between the guards unhappily before speaking up.
Let her in already. Can't you see she's hurt? But Doctor,
one of the guards says.
No buts. Besides, she's one pony we know for sure that isn't with the Enclave,
the mayor said. The guard shrugged and let us in, and the mayor turned and stared back into the room.
I'm Dr. Saffron. What happened to your wing? It was shot by a sniper,
I said.
Arclight needs access to a terminal here so we can shut down the shield. Where is it, do you know? It's in the back. Let me have a look at your wing first,
Saffron said as Arclight headed into the back room to work. She took out her equipment and started working on my wing.
Are you really Scootaloo? Yeah, it's a long story,
I said with a sigh before giving her a brief summary of how I got here.
So, I've been looking around Equestria for any surviving family, and that's really about it.
I see, Saffron said as she cleaned my wing.
You got lucky. Your wing's not too badly damaged.
Are they gonna drive out the Enclave? Another pony who looked like he was being healed asked, looking at me.
Yeah, the NCR and their allies are gonna hit the city as soon as the shield goes down,
I said.
My group will be taking on General Bluejay and the Lucky Horseshoe. Let me guess, Rainrunner, is she with you?
Saffron asked, and I nodded.
Of course, anything happens in this city, and she's usually at the heart of it these days. Well, I suppose at least she's trying to make up for causing this mess. Wait, because she killed Windrider, right?
I asked, and Saffron nodded.
Well, let's hope that we can stop Bluejay. The last thing we need is for the Enclave to control the city permanently. My family's never lived under the Enclave, really,
Saffron said as she finished patching me up.
My ancestors, they made it into Stable 21, and since the Enclave hadn't really breached the city, we are safe, but at least until they infiltrated us.
Yeah, I kind of figured that much. The Enclave wasn't going to play fair, but it was a clever plan. I did have to give him that, unfortunately.
So, who was your ancestor? Lightning Dust,
She said simply. That surprised me a little, given that Lightning Dust's actions before the war I'd almost forgotten them that she was on the list for Stable 21.
There you go. You should be all set now. Thanks, Saffron,
I said with a smile as Arclight came in. A moment later, the city shook with an explosion. The shield was down and the real battle for New Pegasus was about to begin. We left Saffron, who said she was going to meet with the NCR forces in order to help with the wounded. I looked up to see the looming structure of the Lucky Horseshoe as we approached it, expecting a fight every single inch of the way. The Enclave soldiers we did find, however, they were all dead or dying. The battle had taken its toll on the Enclave forces, so there were only a few guards up ahead as we met with Rain and her group.
Did you have any problems?
Corona asked.
No, the eastern node was controlled by friendlies, a pony named Saffron,
Ark said.
We're glad to hear that she's still alive, though.
Rain said with a nod as we all got our weapons ready for the final attack.
We got Lucky and Peridot out of their casinos in the NCR camp. They should be okay. Good. Sounds like an all-around successful mission,
I said and looked up at the Lucky Horseshoe again.
So, are we all ready for this?
There was a murmur of agreement and we all pushed forward towards the entrance, firing at the Enclave soldiers and taking them out before they can get a shot off. The interior wasn't really well guarded. They had just several robots that tried to move in, but they fell easily enough. We were directed into the basement where the mainframe for the entire city was kept, and it was presumed that Bluejay kept her files for the Enclave there. Rain and her group would head upstairs into the penthouse and take on the general herself.
Alright. Stay safe, Scootaloo,
Rain said with a smile. She gave a very Rainbow Dash-like smile.
Drinks at the Aces Lounge are on me after we're done here. I'll hold you to that,
I said with a laugh as me and Ark started down the stairs and towards the basement. I really hoped that it wasn't the last time we'd see each other. After all, in the wasteland, family was family. As we ran down the stairs towards the basement, my thoughts ran back to Rainbow Dash. I hated to admit it, but ever since I had left my stasis, my memories, they were a bit hazy. And some of them centered around her. I'm not too sure if that was because of the stasis or the memory spells I had Honeybee use on me during the war had caused it. Not too sure. I mean, she had admitted that the memory magic wasn't her strong suit and even suggested that I talk to the Ministry of Peace, but I hadn't really been comfortable with letting them poke around in my mind, so I asked her. I had been under a lot of stress during the war and I had hoped that it would alleviate some of it, and it did help a little. But deep down, I knew that I needed to know what happened to Rainbow Dash. After this was done, that was going to be my first priority. We finally reached the basement and got to work at the large computer terminal, and I briefly noticed that there was a stasis pod nearby, but we kind of ignored it as we worked.
Well, looks like some pony couldn't read the keep out signs,
a mare voice said from the speakers, and we both looked up at the screen to see an image of a Pegasus mare with a slick-back mane and dressed in the uniform with the Wonderbolt's insignia on it.
So, just the two of you, huh? Well, yeah, we were just here for your data,
I said as we started working on the terminals and hooked our pitbucks to them.
So, if you don't mind leaving us alone, that would be really appreciated. Yeah, like I'll really do that, Scootaloo,
Bluejay said, making me pause and look up at her.
Yes, I know who you are. I have agents everywhere. It's one of the advantages to being the head of the Enclave intelligence. I'm sure the rest of the Remnant will be very, very interested to know that you're still alive.
I flinched a little at that. The Enclave likely hated me for what I had done all those years ago. Even if I hadn't done a lot of damage, the Dashites had become the first real challenge to the Enclave's authority, and I had started it all because I wanted to be like Rainbow Dash. Maybe I should have just stayed with my family after all.
Are you going to be able to get a message out before you get your flank kicked by the NCR?
Ark pointed out as she typed at the computer.
Because I'm pretty sure we took out your radio transmitter. Maybe we should let her live after all. I'm sure whoever she answers to will love that she failed here,
I said with a light smirk as I found the genealogical data from the Enclave. Of course, it was encrypted, but I downloaded it to my pitbuck anyway. I was sure that I could get it broken later anyway.
Then again, she caused a lot of trouble for the city. Maybe not. Oh, and what are you gonna do to me?
Bluejay asked.
You're all the way in the basement. You have to fight your way through my... General Bluejay!
Another voice said off the screen.
We have intruders coming up the stairs into the penthouse. So, you were saying?
I asked with a smirk.
Sounds like you're about to be very, very busy. I'll deal with them shortly. You're not gonna live forever, Scootaloo. The Enclave will find you someday,
she said, and the monitor went off.
Jeez. What did you do? Steal her parking space? Or her ancestors' parking space?
Ark asked me.
The Enclave don't like me very much because of the Dashite thing,
I said as the download finished.
So, any luck on your end? A little bit, but nothing too major,
she said with a sigh.
Well, anything else on your end? Yeah, I did find the files I wanted, but they're encrypted. Here's hoping we can find a codebreaker, though,
I said with a sigh as we started back up the stairs. It took a while longer for Rain and the company to return, but when they did, Rain was slumped over Cinnamon and Apples' backs, unconscious.
Wait, is she okay?
I asked.
She'll be fine,
Corona said. They all looked exhausted, though.
Bluejay, she's finally dead. Let's just hope that the battle for New Pegasus is finally over,
Cinnamon added. The battle enraged for another day before the Enclave was finally pushed out of New Pegasus. For the most part, we stayed in Phillytown with Rain. Well, except Joy and Cinnamon at least, but me and Crystal were always at Rain's side. The Enclave either surrendered or retreated out of the city to parts unknown. It left the three families to rebuild, and with the death of Bluejay and the Omertas had to select a new leader, we were all surprised that Saffron took the job. When she was questioned by Windtalker, the local radio DJ interviewed her, and she had this to say. The time has come for a change in the Omertas. It was our secrecy that allowed Bluejay to take over in the first place. I will make sure that we will thrive as we face the future together, as a city. What was followed could be best described as a rebirth. A deal was struck between the NCR and the three families, deciding that the city would be opened up even more. They would get rid of the old way under Windrider of having to pay your way into the city and welcome anyone with open hooves. Though, something weird happened. I mean, at one point I woke up to see what I could have sworn was a pony shape in my room, but they vanished in a burst of white magic before I could question them. When I asked around, several other ponies admitted that they had experienced similar situations. Then on the fourth day after Bluejay died, Rain finally woke up. She was tired, but she was happy to see us both. And once she was done making out with Crystal, she finally turned her attention to me.
Hey, Scoots, any luck?
She asked.
Yeah, I think I found the records I wanted, but they're all encrypted,
I said with a sigh.
Do you possibly know any codebreakers? Well, honestly, no. Sorry,
she said with a sigh, then looked thoughtful.
Actually, no, take that back. There was one who lent us a hoof in breaking some project encryptions, like a while back. The tricky thing is that she doesn't live anywhere near here. Wait, so where does she live then?
I asked.
To the north with a tribe called the Dayrunners near Stable 13,
she answered, then paused for a moment.
You should go there anyway. There are answers that you are going to want to know about.
I wasn't necessarily sure what to say about that, though. A few more days passed as things finally settled down around New Pegasus, and finally, it was time for me to go. I had all my stuff packed and I was about to head out when I saw Arclight walking up to me, packed up as well.
So, are you ready?
She asked.
Yeah, but why are you coming?
I asked her.
Not that I don't want you to, but we're not going anywhere near the Enclave.
She paused for a moment longer and straightened her rifle out before speaking up.
Well, all my leads, they died. And I don't want to leave a friend behind.
I blinked a little, and
that was the first time she had ever called me a friend. And I smiled and nodded. Well, I'm glad to have you along for the trip, Ark,
I said with a smile as Schooner barked in agreement.
Come on, let's get going.
We said our goodbyes to the others. Many of them seemed sad to see us go, but understood why we had to do it. Of course we'd visit them, but we had a long journey ahead of us. I put on my headphones in and set it to DJ Pone 3's radio station, and started walking to the north with my friends, and into the unknown as music began to play. Level up. Perk received. Spirit of loyalty. Details. Like Rainbow Dash before you, you embody the ideals of loyalty to your friends and companions. When you drop below 50% health, your companions gain 50% damage resistance.